All right, all right, all right. It's almost that time of year. The time when I set the foundation for supreme and total dominance at my fantasy football draft. How can I be so confident? Because I use the ultimate draft kit from the fantasy footballers. Man, it updates all off-season, so I never worry about using old busted information. Consistency charts, auction values, full projections. Oh baby, this thing's got it all. You want to keep it 100 for your draft? Head to ultimatedraftkit.com and get your copy today.
The Fantasy Footballer Studio is sponsored by Walmart. Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Thursday, August 21st, the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Andy, Mike, and Jason back with you. Another episode talking values today. NFL news breaking every microsecond, it seems.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, you've been it's nice to know when you open up the, Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something. There's a video to watch. There's a headline. There's a puff piece about a player. There's an injury.
Yeah, that part's not fun.
That part's not as.
But when trades,
Well, it depends on who you got on Dynasty.
Oh yeah,
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
when you open it up the Twitter machine and you see a trade that like benefited one of the rookies you got, you're like, oh, okay.
You would be referring to what happened yesterday with Devon
Sky
Vela.
Moore.
Sky. I kid
Still
you
got
not.
him.
The second I saw that Sky Moore was involved in a trade, I literally was like, breaking news, Sky Moore's in the NFL. I had no idea that this man was still on a roster. I mean, we have spent the entire offseason.
He didn't know he was on a
the
roster.
Chiefs, we talk about Jalen Royals, right? You can go down the depth chart on the Chiefs wide receivers. Never did Sky Moore. Like, it feels like a key card that was meant to be blocked at the door, but it keeps working, and he just keeps going, trying not to get caught in the facilities.
You're talking about last year, 3 targets.
Not three receptions.
No.
How many receptions?
Oh, 0.
Okay. That's why we forgot he plays football.
So Sky is the limit. It's 3.
Yeah.
That's the Sky. Okay.
But
He did score a
we're getting ahead of
touchdown.
ourselves.
He did score a touchdown in the Super Bowl against the team that traded for him. Is that?
It was he might have.
I
I know he
feel-
scored
I
in a
don't
Super Bowl
remember.
before.
There's
The
49er boy.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Did he?
all of the.
It was Mecole Hardman.
Okay.
It was McCole
All
Hardman.
right.
Oh,
I
man.
thought Sky Moore did too.
I thought they both did.
I bet you Sky Moore scored in a Super Bowl. Might not have been about
Is that the
against
Eagles
the
one?
49ers. Yeah. So yeah, that's
I
sweet.
can't keep track of all those Sky Moore touchdowns, guys.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track. But we welcome you in. We're happy to have you here. We're heading into the biggest draft weekend of the entire offseason. Coming up this Saturday, Sunday is the majority, or the at least a lot of the drafts are happening this weekend, and then the weekend after as well into Labor Day. But make sure you're prepared. The Ultimate Draft Kit available right now, ultimatedraftkit.com. We made the announcement earlier this week. I want to remind you, the Megalo Bowl. A lot of you had been asking, is it going to come back this year? Of course it's coming back. In fact, what's the number now?
We're over 8,000 signed up, ready to join a league. The leagues will be drafting here in a couple weeks, right before the kickoff of the NFL season. And so, yeah, you can go to megalobowl.com, join your league, pick which time slot you want, play with other Foot Clan members, and the winner will get not only a UDK for life, but even better than that incredible reward, they will be in next year's Listener League with us.
Yeah, so megalobowl.com for there. All Foot Clan supporters get a free entry into the Megalo Bowl. It's going to be super fun this year, and we're looking forward to it. What else is going on? I did just find out that the first NFL touchdown of Sky Moore's career was in the Super Bowl.
Against
Philadelphia.
Against the Eagles. All right.
Now, was that also the last one in his career, or has he had any since
Going
then?
with the 3 targets, 0 receptions,
Yeah.
I think that's a strong possibility.
You can go to YouTube, watch the show, youtube.com.
Oh, he has 2, Kyle?
/
Oh.
The Fantasy Footballers, 2 in his career. Yeah. There was
Hey, that's 2 more than us, guys.
That's true. Yeah, I have 0, actually. Yeah. You can follow us on X at the FF Ballers. Make sure you follow us on your podcasting apps, Spotify, Apple. Leave us a review. A lot of you jumped in there, left a review for Al Borland. It left him in tears, really, of gratitude, right? I mean,
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
you were bawling, but thank you for those reviews.
You're welcome. Wait, what? I thought you were thanking me.
All right, quick question.
What did I just agree to?
I was looking up Sky Moore touchdowns because I'm only seeing one.
One was in the
2.
Super Bowl. One was in the regular season.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. All right. Quick question of the day comes in on X. DMoney24 writing in. What are your thoughts on making trades after your draft but before week 1 begins?
Sounds fun to me. I mean, anytime you're making a trade, you hope it's a good move for you. I don't think there's...
It is the funniest trade to make because a lot of the time it is, you're making a bet with no new information from the draft, right? It's
Right.
like everybody got drafted in specific spots and
Well,
by
son,
different teams.
I've done it before. We've done it
Oh,
before.
yeah.
We've
No
done
doubt,
it
no doubt.
on draft day. Like post-draft, you're like, shoot. I really wish I had gone. Sometimes there's that perfect
The
match
vibes have deteriorated.
right after a draft where it's like, I gambled on my tight end and lost,
Yeah.
and then I wished I got this guy, and the other guy's like, I wish I did the opposite, and you're like, you want
Right in the middle.
to swap ski those? I've done that before,
Yeah.
but I think
Nothing wrong with it.
nothing wrong with it. What is wrong, and you see players do, and we get the question asked, is it a good strategy? And it is
Tax fraud.
not. It is not
No.
a good idea
Not a good idea.
to
commit.
participate in tax fraud.
Yeah.
Ask Mr. Snipes. You can go to jail. But I would not draft to trade. The players that are like, I'm going to get.
Yeah, don't do
I'm
that.
going to draft both of the big tight ends and trade one of them, or I'm going to get. People did this in the past with defenses. I remember being in a league where it's like, I'm going to hoard all the defenses and trade them.
And then the draft is over, and you're like, nobody's interested.
Right? Nobody's
Trade him to
interested,
the
but
waiver wire.
Enjoy
Call my
your
bluff.
team with 5 defenses.
Yeah. So no, nothing wrong with it. I guess there'd be the advantage of if you have somebody on free agency that you also want, and you think you can 2-for-1 consolidate your roster with a trade and then add a free agent player, that's a way to do it. So just don't draft to trade.
News and notes from around the league, presented by Progressive Insurance.
Adam Schefter reporting the Bucs are expected to activate Chris Godwin off the PUP list and have him on the 53-man roster. This is exactly what they're doing with Tristan Wirfs, their left tackle.
It's weird.
So he is not expected to play until October, per Schefter.
So basically, they don't want him to miss 4 games. If you put someone on the PUP, then they've got to miss the minimum of 4 games. So I think they're thinking maybe he'll miss 2.
And then there's rules about practicing
Yes.
as well. So this keeps them available to practice.
Yeah.
We had 2 trades. You mentioned one of them. Sky Moore went to the 49ers from the Chiefs, a 6-7 pick swap for Sky Moore.
Too much.
The 49ers have no wide receivers.
That shows you how bad the 49ers receiving room is. Yesterday I think we had Ricky Pearsall as a sleeper because there's no one to throw the ball to there.
We had news in the receiver room for the 49ers yesterday. Jacob Cowing re-aggravated a hamstring injury. Looks
that's
longer
not
term.
good.
Demarcus Robinson officially getting suspended 3 games. Shanahan came out and said we're expecting 3, but they're going to appeal it, so it could get cut down from 3. It is why I mentioned Robinson will be relevant at some point, I think. Russell Gage apparently on that team as well. He's going to miss 7 to 10, is that days? With a sprained MCL?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a quick
And
healer.
so they got Sky Moore.
We've seen it. Guys come
And
back quick from that.
we had a big move, the Broncos. They got a 4th and a 7th.
Which, what?
That's a lot. Now, it was for Devon Vele, who was a rookie big slot wide receiver that played for them last year. He played well. He seems like a good player. But this is a real...
Andy,
Yes.
Do you know how old Devon Bailey, last year's rookie?
I
Devon
do,
Bailey?
actually,
Oh, you do.
yeah.
Mike, do you?
I know that he is much older. Like
older. He's not a 21-year-old rookie.
No, there's something like.
So how old do you think he is?
I believe he is
23?
going to be 30 before the end of his rookie contract. So I will put him at 27.
27.7 years old.
That is wild.
Now, what did my guy?
He's in his prime.
what did my guy George receive for a trade?
George
Pickens, yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
I think it was a third. So a fourth and a seventh for a 27-year-old Vele, or George Pickens, who's 24 years old.
You don't pay
your
Vele that
you're gonna
kind
have
of
to
money.
pay.
But he goes to the Saints. Saints need help at wide receiver beyond
do.
Olave, and Vele's going to provide that, some help over there. But this is also a huge endorsement, I think, of Pat Bryant in particular, and then obviously
there's two possibilities here of it like.
Well, from a
I'm talking about the Broncos, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Troy Franklin is going to have a role.
No,
but
it's either this, because this is opening up the slot.
Yeah.
So this is either Pat Bryant or Evan Ingram's about to get a bajillion targets.
Yeah, no, I
don't think it's Troy Franklin. Franklin's a
what?
Franklin will have they have more confidence in Franklin to go play on the outside and catch some deep passes. But from a week-to-week standpoint, it puts Pat Bryant on the map as wide receiver too.
It does.
Like, to me, that's
it's possible.
The player that they went out, they aggressively pursued him in the draft.
You mean the new Michael Thomas?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
As those are not my words,
This
guys.
is the number one thing we do in fantasy too, is we rebuild great teams with the coach when they move around. We just rebuild their good
Sean
teams.
Payton comped him. Said it reminds me of my
look, we know you can't rebuild Darren Sproles and Reggie Bush and those players with Javonte Williams and Tyler Bidet.
So do you move Evan Ingram up at all?
I bumped him up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
It makes sense that you would move him up a little because the confidence level, I think, was maybe not there that he could put up the big PPR numbers, but taking a target away.
Yeah, I think PPR numbers are where I have more confidence. I think he'll be involved. My lack of confidence in Evan Ingram is more what he's going to do with the targets, whether they're going to be efficient, whether he's going to score touchdowns, etc. But you look at this team.
He's the Joker.
Yeah, I mean, he already has his wings.
Joking.
According to Sean Payton. And the reports recently have been that he is very, very involved in the passing game. This move of Vele is the same area of the field that Evan Ingram is going to work. So, yeah, I mean, Pat Bryant, massive endorsement, and Evan Ingram, more targets to come his way.
So what else do we have? We got Jordan Addison.
The Vikings need wide receivers.
Yeah, the Vikings are in need of wide receivers because Addison and Ty Felton arm injuries in Wednesday's practice. Not supposed to be severe, but Addison's out for 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Jalen Wright exited practice today with an apparent injury. Dolphins running back. They were already the leader in terms of the rumor mill for Brian Robinson, with Devon Achane injured, with Madison out for the season, with Jalen Wright, now hurt. It looks like they're going to be a landing spot for some running back at some point, because otherwise Ollie Gordon is your starter in week 1 potentially.
Yeah, Achane might not be available week 1, so that's something you need to pay attention to in your drafts.
For sure. Like, Ollie Gordon becomes a pretty high priority late target. Should they not go get Robinson, of course.
He manned almost all of the Dolphins running back reps in practice today after the injury. Achane's not out there, so Ollie Gordon looking sneaky as the season gets ready to begin. That was News and Notes, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations. Coverage subject to policy terms, limits, and conditions. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with some values for the 2025 fantasy football season. Foot Clan draft day is on the way. You got your rankings, you got those sleepers, you got your can't miss picks, but you know what? You need sometimes a backup because, well, even the best fantasy football team in the world doesn't go according to plan. Sometimes those starters, they don't show up. Wouldn't it be great if you could have the same peace of mind everywhere else? With Progressive, you get more than just a policy. You get a playbook full of coverage options you can count on for your home and for your auto. Want to customize your protection? No problem. You can build your coverage just like your fantasy team, making sure that you have the right players in every position and a backup when you need it most. And when life throws an audible like a fumble in the driveway or a hailstorm at home, Progressive is there with 24/7 support. Don't get caught without a great backup. Visit Progressive.com to quote today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations. Coverage subject to policy terms, limits, and conditions.
Values.
All right, gentlemen, it is time for some individual value picks. Good draft day values is what we're looking at. Players that, we're not necessarily saying you go reach for them, but guys that will drop to places that we don't think they belong. This is kind of, one of the big features we added to the UDK this year was the Value Scout tool, where we take our projections and rankings for players and we compare them to a platform's average draft position. So you can go into the UDK, you can open the tool, and you'll see where we believe a player's true value is in a draft versus where they're going. And then you can use that information to kind of adjust your strategy and drafts on your platform. Today we picked out some, individual value picks. My name that I'm going to bring up, this is a player that I briefly talked about, I think a couple days ago, maybe in passing, that I thought was being undervalued. But it's time to talk about him.
Wow.
It is Deebo.
Going right to the drop is bold.
It is Deebo Samuel, wide receiver 1 for the Washington Commanders.
That is currently true.
I think it might be true all the times. All the times. Even if the player comes back, even if Terry McLaurin comes back, Deebo Samuel, there was a little bit of the offseason goofball fantasy analysis. And if we associate being slow in the offseason with fantasy success, so far it is a very good hit rate, because last year's offseason was Keenan Allen.
Oh, Fat Keenan.
Looks like he can't run.
Oh, that was fun.
And
that was really fun.
And then he had a great season in Chicago. Deebo, obviously,
Fat
Deebo.
He was real slow on the field last year, though.
Well, let's talk about that.
All right.
That's what we're talking about. Deebo Samuel, I think we would all agree, isn't the same Deebo necessarily that we saw years ago. Always dealt with some injuries, had prolific, number 2 overall fantasy finish in San Francisco one season. He's 29 years old. They traded a 5th-round pick for him. Again, there's another example. You traded a 5th for Deebo. You traded a 4 and 7 for Vele. Okay.
Yeah.
But the biggest question that we have is, does he still have it? Now, just yesterday, I think all the beat writers in Washington were polled to say who was the most impressive player in camp for the Washington Commanders. No.
What?
Oh.
It wasn't Bill.
It wasn't Bill Krosky?
It wasn't Bill Krosky.
Bill Krosky can unscramble scrambled eggs.
I should have known that if I brought up a Commander player, I was in deep trouble trying to get through.
Oh, I'm just shocked that the Washington beat reporters are not also in on.
No, the most impressive player in training camp was Deebo Samuel. That is the number 1 player named. And Deebo, we saw him briefly. We saw the jet sweep. We saw classic Deebo in the preseason game on Monday. He looked very fast once again. But this is about scheme, right? If you get past the, hey, is Deebo, maybe he's not the same Deebo. But the question is Deebo done? And I don't think Deebo is done from what we've seen on the practice field in training camp or in the preseason. And if he's not done, then you literally dropped Deebo Samuel into the best possible offense for Deebo Samuel. There is no better situation than Deebo with Cliff Kingsbury. Behind the line of scrimmage targets is what...
You talking about the route bush?
It's what Cliff does.
Yeah.
20% of Jaden Daniels' targets were behind the line of scrimmage. 5th highest in the NFL. Kingsbury's wide receivers rank, here's their ranks on screen targets over the last 3 years. 1st, 2nd, 3rd. That's what they do. And Deebo averages 2+ fantasy points per target on the screen passes. This is a match made in heaven, and we don't even have Terry McLaurin in camp. And we already know Terry McLaurin's regressing in touchdowns anyways. He was not a volume. He's not a 120 catch guy. And so then you ask, well, Deebo, does he still have it when it comes to yards after the catch? Because that's this was a player that led the NFL in yards after the catch for 4 of the previous 5 years before 2024. Guess what he was last year? Second in the NFL in yards after the catch. Deebo Samuel. Mims was the only one ahead of him, believe it or not. Marvin Mims of the aforementioned Denver Broncos. So, Deebo last year tied Garrett Wilson, most evaded tackles at the wide receiver position. Nobody wants to draft him. He feels like the Cooper Kupp pick. He feels like old busted. But we love Washington. We love Jaden Daniels. We love what the offense did. Who in the world is going to catch passes for this team? Is it Zach Ertz, Mike? You want to go with Zach Ertz?
Oh, he'll catch passes. He will not have yards after catch, though.
I just think that, and this is obviously, value is correlated to draft cost. Right now, Deebo Samuel is way down the board. 38 at wide receiver, late 7th round pick. He is literally next to Cooper Kupp. So he's next to Jacoby Myers. He's next to Diggs. Like, if you're old, you get drafted at 38, 39, and 40, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the retirement festivities are happening. So, look, the upside is tremendous because you have so much confidence in the team. Like, Deebo could be their one.
Deebo could be their one. I think the real question is he washed? Like,
right.
That's the issue. The reason that he's, dropped is because what we saw on the field last year looked bad and, efficiency-wise was not that great. And so as an older wide receiver, the question is just, does he not have it anymore? Because if that's the case, then it'll be a wasted pick. But I don't think there's a world where it's just an average pick. Like, if Deebo still has it, and honestly, I know it's one play, and I don't want to overdo it. I just talked about you don't want to – one of the tips was don't overreact to preseason hype, but that's usually more about the young – that would be more about Bill than it would be about Deebo. Deebo was just – I saw physicality, that cut. He basically got a jet sweep. Looked fast, had a great cut that was classic Deebo, went down the field, was hard to tackle, and it was like, oh, that was what Deebo always looked like when he dominated. So if he hasn't lost it and he's on this offense, then yeah, it's a great pick.
I just have a hard time, like, if you play out how a game plan goes for a Commander's offense, I have a hard time seeing them not put the ball in his hands a ton because of what Kingsbury does, and then you're like, well, did those metrics support that he was still good after the catch? Last year they did. And so to be the most impressive player in camp as well, I think he is being undervalued because we're done with him and we want to take shots on other players. But, Rome Odunze is going a few picks ahead of him. I would understand that one. But, when you're talking about is Jacoby Myers upside what Deebo's is in Washington? Probably not.
Where it's difficult for me, the 8th round that's fantastic. Speaking of scheme, that's where I don't know exactly what to do with Deebo because he was the belle of the ball, for years with San Francisco, and last year they really needed Deebo Samuel with Brandon Ayuk suffering the season-ending injury. After the bye week, so you're talking 8 games where he's playing a full allotment of snaps. You're talking an average of 79% of the snaps. So he's playing that game. In that time, in those 8 games, he was averaging 3 catches for 33 yards per game. And Kyle Shanahan was done with him. So that's what scares me off of Deebo. But again, we do try to relate, like, if risk is built into ADP, then you aren't risking anything in the 8th round. Like, I'm not nearly as bullish as Andy is. I would probably say I'm more out. Like, I'm considering myself more out on Deebo. But in the 8th, if he does still have something, even if Terry comes back, I don't love that Terry McLaurin is going to be missing essentially the entire training camp and off season. I know he's a pro's pro and he knows the offense and everything, but you can't just walk onto a football field in week 1 and say, I'm ready to play. So I think he's interesting despite what I watched last year was a player who was not a part of the San Francisco offense.
Yeah, and I don't think he's ever played a full season. Maybe were they playing 16 in 2021? If so, that was his only full season in 6 years in the NFL, so that's always a risk. Deebo takes a lot of punishment on the field. But I do think that maybe he's being undervalued, especially in light of the McLaurin situation. So Other value picks, I don't know which one of you guys want to take a shot first.
I'll hop in here. My value pick is DK Metcalf for 2025. This is a player who it makes no sense to me that he is being drafted where he's being drafted in the 5th round as the 22nd wide receiver off the board. I know why, and it's because of the end of last year. The end of last year, DK Metcalf, he disappeared. He was pretty irrelevant. But we don't remember the cause. Do you guys remember the cause of what happened to DK Metcalf last year?
Eating too much candy.
Maybe. He does love himself some Skittles. However, that wasn't it. He hurt his knee in the middle of the season. Missed week 8, missed week 9, came back and wasn't very good. He had a I believe it was a MCL sprain. I'll look that up. But if you look at the splits between when he missed a chunk in the middle of the season and came back kind of injured and the beginning, you forget that he started the year on pace for 150 targets, 1,400 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. Like he was really good. He was, what he's been his whole career, which is basically a top 15 wide receiver. Then he gets traded, becomes the guy for Aaron Rodgers. They ship out George. They give him a 4-year, $132 million contract. Like, there's no question from any human on the planet who leads this team in targets. None. There's not even a possible debate. There's not even another player that could accidentally come to the same target share. And if you look at what Aaron Rodgers has done with his wide receiver ones, it doesn't matter whether it was Jordy Nelson or Randall Cobb or Devontae Adams, over and over, he hyper targets them. Last year, this version of Aaron Rodgers had Garrett Wilson as a top 10 fantasy wide receiver at the same time that he had Devontae Adams as a top 15 wide receiver. The target market shares for wide receivers, we just did, if you haven't seen the Just the Tips episode of the Fantasy Football, there's a little mini series we're doing. I talked about wide receiver metrics that matter, and targets are the primary, most prescriptive, stat that alludes to success. And the target market share for a player, if they're about 30%, if they hit that number, they are almost a virtual lock to be a top 12 wide receiver. And you look at Aaron Rodgers, number 1 wide receiver. You've got years of 31%, 32%, 34%, 31%, 29%, 28%. And there's no one else to throw the ball here to. Pat Freiermuth and Roman Wilson. And
I cannot tell you how much I love DK Metcalf this year. I am in 100% agreement. I think he is probably the best pick in fantasy or close to it. There are players in the NFL that, I never think, you talked about, why are you out on DK Metcalf? I don't even think, he's not a player that I look at the box score and decide if he's a good player or not, legitimately.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys like George Pickens this year?
Yeah.
He's been the wide receiver 36, 26, 41. George, is he good? I think we all think George Pickens is good.
Yeah.
You can watch the game and you can see certain players, the physicality, the skill and ability, and you don't lay it all at their feet on whether they're productive. Sometimes you have to look at the quarterback situation, the offense, what's going on, and you mentioned the injury. Everybody knows DK Metcalf could be one of the most physically dominant receivers in the game of football, and it was proven with the paycheck.
Yeah.
The paycheck it's the same as Josh Jacobs after the bad metrics in Las Vegas. It's like everybody on earth knows that guy is better than everybody else on the field. It just takes a scheme and targets. So I could not agree with you more. It's a great value pick, and he won't be moving.
He's not going to move up. People are kind of tired because he's going into his 7th season, and it was a disappointing last year.
He has disappointed his ADP for at least 3 straight years.
Yeah, it feels like it. But he's not old. He's 27. He's still in his prime, obviously, based on the contract. With the target share, I feel like his floor, if he doesn't get the touchdowns this year, which for him, sometimes they come, sometimes they don't. He has weird positive regression coming. He scored 0 fantasy points inside the 10 last year, which, based on his utilization, was strange. But his floor, to me, feels like higher than what he's being drafted as the wide receiver 22. I feel like his floor is like wide receiver 20, 18 if he ends the season with 3 or 4 touchdowns. But if he ends the season with 8 or 9 touchdowns, he's going to be a top 15 wide receiver easy. And
how does he not hit his target? I mean, is it a Arthur Smith problem? Like, is that the way he doesn't hit his target all-time high? Because he's at 141 for an all-time high. I can't imagine he's not above that.
I mean, it's injury. Injury's how he doesn't hit it. There's just last year he was on pace to beat his all-time high before he injured his knee. And this year, I mean, I know that the Steelers are going to run the ball a lot for sure. They're not going to throw the ball as much as Aaron Rodgers wants to throw the ball, but the percentage of the passes that will go to DK Metcalf will be 28+%, and that's just one of those stats where it points to success almost always.
So then my question comes in of like the confidence has to also then be coming from Aaron Rodgers, because last year,
sure.
like Andy, you read through, you're like, hey, George Pickens finished this, like he was the wide receiver 41, averaging just under 10 fantasy points, in 14 games last year. Talking about George Pickens, he was the number one of the offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, it doesn't help that he's the example, right? Because they played for the exact same team. But
so it has to be.
It's 100% the quarterback switch.
Okay.
I mean, me talking about George as my guy this year I brought up the fact that he's played with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph, and that shockingly the worst combo was last year in Fields and Russ as far as catchable target percentage. So I don't feel like it was his fault. Aaron Rodgers is going to put that ball where DK Metcalf can catch it.
Yeah, and he does go to one guy when he has confidence in one guy. Like there've been a lot of they're still looking for a wide receiver potentially outside of Metcalf to help support DK. The nice thing is DK is not like this. Like, he can go and take on a double team. He can get off the line of scrimmage and be physical. It's not an undersized guy, at least, if you need to hyper target somebody. So, yeah, I think he's going to be one of those interesting players for sure. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with Mike's value pick, and we'll jump into some mailbag.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Preseason football is underway, and college football is here, so don't miss any of the action this season on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 different player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. Prize Picks is also the best way to get in on the action on sports in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. This time of year, preseason, I love taking the young guys with opportunity that I like. Week 1, I went Caleb Johnson and Trey Benson more, and you know your boy cashed. So get in on the action, download the app today, and use code FOOTBALLERS and get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code FOOTBALLERS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. These days, it feels like there's advice for everything. We talk about this all the time. You look at the reels and all the social media. You got the cold plunges, gratitude journals, screen detoxes. But the problem is you don't know what actually works. And the internet is full of information overload about mental health, about wellness, and it's hard to know what will actually make a difference, what's true. And so you got to take action, but you don't know how. You want to use trusted resources, and BetterHelp has live therapists that can get you personalized recommendations and help you break through all of that noise. With over 30,000 therapists worldwide, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it's very convenient. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, and you can switch therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/footballers. That's betterhelp.com/footballers. All right, Mike, you've brought this name up a lot this offseason. Your value pick today is
Jordan Mason.
Jordan Mason,
running back for the Minnesota Vikings. And you got to remember the story of Jordan Mason. Of course, we all know Christian McCaffrey, the legendary. He's going to be okay for week 1, and then he is not. And it's Jordan Mason. He ends up being the guy. And it was not just a, hey, attaboy, you filled in for the running back position for our team. He was fantastic on the ground. Not so much catching the ball, but on the ground, it was awesome. In the first 7 weeks, he was averaging 95 rushing yards per game. And they put the offense on his back at that moment, and he really delivered. 41% of his carries went for 5 or more yards, which last year, that would be a top 5 mark. You're talking about the percentage of carries going for 5, those chunk plays. Who's the names in that list? Oh, Bucky, Gibbs, Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson. And then there's Jordan Mason in there with that. And so it was a great season before then, unfortunately, Jordan Mason went down, I think, the same week as Christian McCaffrey, to the point where, okay, the season is over. We got to shut him down. Then the offseason hits. What are they going to do here with Jordan Mason, who was they had to figure out, are they going to pay him? Are they not? They put a second-round tender onto Jordan Mason, saying this guy's going to be a part of our plans. But then the Minnesota Vikings swooped in and said, no, we would like to trade for Jordan Mason. So let's upgrade your draft capital. It's not a huge draft pick swap or anything like that, but we know that veterans often go for cheaper than they should, unless you're the New Orleans Saints. Then you pay a 4 and a 7 for Devon Vele. But the Minnesota Vikings trade for him, and then they immediately give him a 2-year contract that has $7 million guaranteed. He's a part of their plan. Aaron Jones is coming off of a year that he saw the most work that he has ever seen. And Aaron Jones is 30, right?
Let me tell you something that just happened in our point.
Let me just confirm
my experts league, Mike, because
Aaron Jones is going to be turning 31 this year. Okay, go ahead.
The last 2 picks in the expert league draft, just so you know how things are going, 902, Jordan Mason, 903, Aaron Jones.
Whoa, wow. Okay.
So I was actually when I got into the 9th.
Aaron Jones is a value at that point.
Well, look,
guys.
I got into the 9th. In the 8th round, I almost took Aaron Jones at 808.
Yeah, okay.
And then I was hoping I was like, everybody's out on Aaron Jones this much. Maybe he'll slip around to 905. He did, and he just went. But Jordan Mason 1 pick ahead of Aaron Jones.
That is.
Now, this is a best ball, so you're playing some upside. And Aaron Jones does not seem to represent upside in people's minds.
Because when you hear Kevin O'Connell talking about it, he says, quote, we feel like we've got one of the best combinations of a 1A, 1B running back in the NFL. The goal is to keep them both fresh. The goal is to keep them both 10 of 10. And then it's been talked about of Jordan Mason will be our short yardage guy and our goal line guy. So while, this is not me banging the drum saying Jordan Mason's taking this job. He's going to be a 3-down back. No, he is going to be in a timeshare for one of the most potent offenses in the league, and he's going to be the goal line running back. It would not shock me to see Jordan Mason at 8+ rushing touchdowns by the end of the year, and you're getting him in redraft, in not expert leagues, but at home leagues, running back 40, almost the 11th round for that amount of touchdowns.
Name that people know for sure. So I wonder if you put Jordan Mason up against, would you rather have Jordan Mason or Caleb Johnson?
Don't ask me. That is an easy Caleb Johnson.
That's tough. I think that's a really tough call between the two of those guys.
Scattaboo or Jordan Mason?
Jordan Mason.
Charbonnet or Jordan Mason?
Sharbs, but they're very similar.
Yeah,
they're in similar situations where they are the presumed backup, but you're probably going to be playable with the huge upside should the running back ahead of them that projects to not play a full season. Like Ken Walker doesn't ever play a full season, and a 31-year-old running back.
Aaron Jones usually does not play a full season. I've jokingly on Twitter, I call these guys, it's a flex with benefits, because this is a player, you can put him right in the flex. You can play him on a weekly basis, and then because it's not, he's only the backup. You're like, no, you literally play him, and then those couple games where Aaron Jones is missing and it's just Jordan Mason, then holy crap, you probably have a top 12 running back that week.
It is a bet that the Vikings offense stays successful.
It is
with the
that is
quarterback.
definitely a bet on that, but that's how I'm betting on the Vikings right now.
Some of the popular answers on the Foot Clan Discord, so we got some value picks that they threw out there. Calvin Ridley, completely agree on that one. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, for sure. He's very undervalued.
Yeah, they mentioned Jordan Mason. They mentioned Drake May as a value in their mind, and they mentioned Dak Prescott as a value as well.
I am so in on Dak.
Yeah,
where he's going.
I took Dak so high above. I'm in a Superflex league near a turn in an expert league right now, and I took Dak way ahead of ADP where he is in quarterbacks because I believed he was going to be better than a lot of the quarterbacks that were being drafted after him, and this was going to be a run, so I had to pick the guy I wanted, and I do think Dak is a good value this year.
We have more value picks in the Ultimate Draft Kit at ultimatedraftkit.com. Let's jump into some mailbag.
Mailbag.
Ooh, yeah. Welcome into the mailbag. You can submit your question to the show by going to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Click that Submit a Question button, or you can dial our voicemail hotline, 302-464-TFFB. We'll begin today's mailbag with a voicemail.
What's up, ballers? I was wondering, what do you guys think is too late to draft a wide receiver in a 12-team full PPR? Love the show. Thanks, guys.
I guess we're presuming 2 wide receiver spots here.
That's a big difference, but
well, let's go 2 wide.
What's
So was
too
this
late?
a 0 wide receiver type of a strategy?
yeah, I mean, imagine that you start off and you get value and you go running back. Are you wrecked? Are you ruined? Or you go running back, and
Tight
then the
end.
next pick, McBride falls and you take a tight end. Is that too far?
Well, for me, it's wide receivers are always the place that I can find the most value later in drafts. So like if I there's so many guys going late, like Jacoby Myers could be a viable wide receiver too. He could end up that way. There are a lot of players in that category. We just talked about where Debo is going. So I always feel like I can pile up a handful, right? It's also where you can take some mystery bags, the rookies. Maybe Pat Bryant, you put him on your roster late in the draft. I can take more shots at wide receiver. There's more of them on the field. There's more of them with potential upside that we don't know how the situations are going to go, whereas the running backs thin out so quickly that you really feel like you're in a tough situation. How late is too late? That's a tough question to ask. I would want one certifiably reliable known target commodity at wide receiver.
I'll give you some hypotheticals of what could shake out. Let's say you're in the back half of the first and you start, McCaffrey for me, but we'll put you in the middle. You get Jahmyr Gibbs, right? It's a PPR, so wide receivers are going to be pushed
Gibbs
up at
in the
top.
first.
You're starting with Gibbs in the first. It comes back to you. You get either Bucky or Chase Brown.
Yep.
And then you get McBride or George Kittle. That's how you have started.
Yeah, give me a 4th-round wide receivers.
So then you go look at where ADP is right now. You're talking Devontae, Marv, maybe as
your one.
It would be considered your one, but you got when you go 0 of these guys in the first few picks, you're Frankensteining. You're building a conglomerate of wide receivers to be it.
So you said Marv and who?
So Adams and Marv could be your wide receiver.
What's the next round?
Then the next round is DK Metcalf. Or
I'm fine with that.
I would
DK Metcalf. And then in the 6th round, it's like George, Tet McMillan.
If you end up with Metcalf and McMillan, but you have 4 rounds of talent, like what are the running backs by Marv and Devontae Adams?
Let me go pull that up for you.
Because that's what I'd love to know.
So that would be in the 4th.
It could be a quarterback too.
That's the Breece Hall, Ken Bone Walker, Alvin Kamara area.
Yeah, but the quarterback there is who? It's Hurts or Daniels?
In the 4th is Burrow. Hurts is the end of the 3rd.
So do you want Burrow, Metcalf, Tet? Or would you rather have Marv, Metcalf and late round quarterback?
Metcalf.
I would probably go late. I would either take the tight end in the 3rd or Burrow in the 4th.
Yeah,
not both.
This is really, it's not necessarily what round, and this is what you got to pay attention to in your draft, right? Because they don't always go according to ADP. This is why the Ultimate Draft Kit, we've got them broken down into tiers. What matters is you still have to have a certain tier, a certain caliber, a certain class of wide receiver as your first wide receiver. And I think we named some of those. DK Metcalf, to me, I'm fine with him being my first wide receiver. And then you got to keep loading up and find that value and find that talent. But if your league is going crazy wide receivers, let's say you are in a 3 wide receiver full PPR and wide receivers are going way earlier, don't just be like, I can wait till the 4th. The baller said I can wait till the 4th.
Yeah.
It's a matter of
DJ Moore. Is he
I would not
be your one?
personally love him as my one.
I'm getting spooked, man.
Okay. It's funny. DJ Moore, 96, 98 receptions the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, he. When I look at my rankings, it says I should be fine with DJ Moore as my one. My range of outcomes for him, though, I think he's a little bit riskier with Odunze, with the new coordinator, and I still have DJ Moore as the clear-cut leader of this offense at wide receiver.
41% consistency rating.
But I can see how it doesn't go well. Devontae Adams is someone that I think, he's got the Stafford risk we've talked about, but he is fine to be your wide receiver one. The volume will be there. The touchdowns will be there. Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's not who you're hoping for, but if you've got true studs elsewhere, so long as you're getting the best value in each round, you should be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's jump into another mailbag question here. All right, Brent writes in on X. In the UDK, you have Laser Mayfield as a bust, but at quarterback 10. Why is that? Spoiler. No, what it is Baker is in there as a regression candidate. So we do have some in the bust section. Sometimes there are some different things
labels
to pay attention to. Some labels for players. James Cook is the same situation. It's just that Baker was up over 40 touchdowns. It's hard to repeat unless you have another magical season. Right now you've got multiple injuries at wide receiver. We love Baker. I think quarterback 10 it's a good ranking. It's not where he finished, right? He was what, quarterback 5 last year?
Yeah.
So
it's not where he's being drafted as the quarterback 7 as well. If you draft the quarterback 7 and spin that 6th-round pick where there are good players there,
it's really,
and then he ends up at quarterback 10 and throws 29 touchdowns, which is not a bad season, but then you're wrecked for fantasy.
Exactly. And if it's a good example of how the numbers dictate the way you look at players, not just your affection for them. We love Baker. We would love to see Baker throw 50 touchdowns. I would love that. I'd love that for Emeka Egbuka. I think you'd love that.
Oh, yeah.
But we have to be intelligent about the way numbers, even the Aaron Rodgerses of the world, ping-ponged from 40 touchdowns down to 25, that type of thing.
Yeah, 2 years ago, Jordan Love was the quarterback 5, like Baker, and threw a ton of touchdowns. It was awesome. And then last year, it went down to nothing. And they profile pretty similarly, Baker and Jordan Love, and one costs you a 6th-round pick, and the other is where's Love going? Double digits?
Yes.
And just for some context here, in NFL history, we've seen 22 times where a quarterback has thrown over 40 or more touchdowns. Now, it's 11 in the last decade because obviously
it's like one a year.
11,
it's like one a
shifting.
Year.
We had 3 last year. In 2023, we did not have one. In 2022, there was 1. It was Mahomes. In 21, there was 2. So it's like,
how you get there? You had a 5th quarter.
Hey, I'll take it. But that's what we talk about, the danger of the pocket passer is for them when they get boosted in ADP, they have to do those types of things. Or because what did Baker finish as quarterback wise?
I thought he was a quarterback 5. I can double check
he
it.
was higher than that.
But it could have been 4.
The point is,
it could have been 3.
Could have been 2.
He was the quarterback 3.
Okay.
But the point being, 4,500 passing yards, 41 passing touchdowns. He is not the number 1 quarterback. Like this is just how you got to play the game. You got to play fantasy football. You got to have rushing yards, or you got to ball out like MVP level.
Brandon in Miami, Florida. Would you rather draft Gibbs or Jefferson from the 4 spot in half PPR?
Gibbs.
Yeah, I'll take the shot on Gibbs there. There isn't a, like, some years I think there have been a number 1 overall pick where you're just like, that guy has to be it. Like Christian McCaffrey after a number 1 overall season had to be it.
Right.
But I don't look down on anybody taking, like, if Jefferson went number 1, I do not think that's wrong.
No, it's okay.
I think Chase is kind of the name we throw out there. Chase, Bijan, Gibbs, Saquon, Jefferson, those 5 are fine. Right? Is there anybody else in that category? You want to take Henry number 1?
I mean, if you did, I'd be like, whoa, that's surprising, but that could work. I would throw CeeDee Lamb into the same mix with Jefferson and Chase as far as range of outcome to finish as the number 1.
All right, question from Taco Mark on X. How do you handle managers dropping out of dynasty leagues? And then also, what if it's mid-season?
Oof, mid-season. That's
Number one, shame on that person. Mid-season,
unless life event, right?
Yes.
better be a canon event. Like, this better be a life-changing. If you're going to bail.
You are in jail.
Yeah.
Right.
Even then,
you could probably
there's some
still
phone
make
calls
it work.
that you get to make, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Look, never been in jail, so can't tell you. You get at least one, right?
Yeah.
Lawyer schmoyer. I'm calling the commish.
To put the roster
Yeah,
in?
be like, oh, dude, you got to set that thing up for me. I'm not going to make it this week.
Yeah, I mean, so how do you handle it? Obviously, some different thoughts. Mid-season, you're going to be forced to kind of play maybe a roster for a missing manager until you find a replacement.
I think you just set by take the projections of
Yes.
the platform you're on and just do your best. As far as replacing someone, like we have a passionate horde of supporters of the show. We call them the Foot Clan, and we offer footclanleagues.com, which is number one. We probably haven't mentioned it for a bit, so it's a good time to bring it up. It's a great place to meet people because you're like, oh, I want to do this league. I want a dynasty league, or I want another keeper league. Foot Clan Leagues. These people are passionate about fantasy football. It's also a good place to find someone to take over your orphaned dynasty roster.
Yeah, and you can go to footclanleagues.com. It'll connect you right with that Discord server that we have. It's easy to jump on there. I think there's about 5,000 people online right now. 60,000 are a member of that group. So, you want to find somebody that's going to kind of commit some time and make the league fun. And if you need to, like if you have multiple people drop out, sometimes it's better to just play the league with two less managers if you can't find two committed people to join. Okay. I don't know if Jason has an answer for this one. Joe writes in, what NFL coach would be the worst fantasy football manager and why?
What NFL coach would be the worst fantasy football manager?
What does it take to be a good fantasy football manager that a coach doesn't have? Because I think the OCD coaches would do great. I think Sean McVay would dominate in fantasy football.
For sure. I think it's just a matter of
Dan Quinn with the backwards hat. You think he's taking care of fantasy?
Yeah, he would crush.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he'd be fine. I want to know
Let me
who's
see you with the backwards hat. Let me
dumb.
just confirm.
Well, it's not just
if you look like you could handle your roster.
It's not just Colin Cowherd.
You
is
know, you should
furious
maybe
right
do
now.
a little Dan Quinn Halloween.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I heard Dan Campbell, who would crush.
Oh,
Dan
now
Quinn's,
you know
Dan
it's
Quinn's a pretty good answer.
Oh, as a bad manager?
Yeah.
You don't look like a guy right now that could handle the roster.
It's Arthur.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
just
like,
not a head coach right now.
I don't think Tomlin would he wouldn't do nothing.
No, he'd set it and let it ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd auto draft.
Yeah.
He's like,
Tomlin would
But
be
you know
terrible.
he'd be fine at the end of the year. He's that guy.
Yeah,
that
he
guy
would.
that's like,
he'd get in the playoffs.
you made no transactions. You did nothing. Why are you in the playoffs?
It would just be he'd lose week 1 in the playoffs every time.
Yes, as he does.
All right, Jason, maybe this is a good one for you. Alec wants to know, you can only draft one, Kyle Pitts or Troy Franklin?
I mean, it's Kyle Pitts.
Come on.
It's Kyle Pitts. But it also,
What if it was like Troy Franklin or Lil Bill?
it's definitely Lil Bill.
Who's Lil Bill?
Bill Krosky. Oh.
Thank you.
Bill Krosky once counted to infinity.
I don't know if I enjoy the joke myself as much or just hearing Al Borland lose it every time you say one. Tomorrow we have a mock draft episode. Do not miss it. Busts episode coming up next week. Bold predictions, time machine, MVP shows. So much going on. We want to wish you a lot of luck heading into the weekend as well. And make sure you have the ultimate draft kit. Make sure you join the Megala Bowl. And one of the cool things that we do, I don't know if we mentioned it recently, but we do give you a $1 for $1 credit. So if you've bought the UDK and you want to be an Ultimate Foot Clan member, which is a year-round subscription, one price for the entire year, it's less than 40 cents a day. It gives you every premium product that we have, and we will credit your full UDK cost towards an Ultimate subscription. So if you want to never worry about another separate purchase or what's in what premium package, We made this super easy last year.
Autopilot forever, and it's going to have all of our in-season resources. You've got the ultimate dashboard for in-season stuff, which we keep adding to. We're adding trade stuff this year. Manage all your leagues. It's a really good platform. You get it all.
Yeah, so if you want to sign up at jointhefoot.com, and as long as you're logged in on the website, it'll automatically apply the credit for your UDK if you want to do that. Otherwise, if you just want the UDK, that's ultimatedraftkit.com. That'll do it for today's show. Shout out to the cackling deucers over there. Thanks for holding it down today. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.